Let's just roll that into what our basketball news is for the week here.
Yeah, basketball news for the week. Nothing out of the NBA currently. The big news, if you're seeing anything on social media, is Dame's out there in Portland once again. He did resign as a Blazer, if you did not know. So he's out there just doing all the good things in Portland. That's sort of what's been on all the NBA media and whatnot and things like that. All the cool things he's doing out there. WNBA-wise, it's been a little bit of a crazy week. For the most part, we still have games going on currently today. There's like a 5 or 6, in fact, going on today. Three are going on right now and 2 more later this evening. But sort of, there's just a wrap up of the week. The Liberty did end up losing did go on a 3-game slide this week, sort of as expected, without the captain, the lead, Stewie there. They lost to Dallas 82-92. Minnesota 93-100, and Connecticut 62-78.
I'll say that Connecticut one's a little bit more surprising. Even without Stewie in the lineup, I would have thought they'd have a pretty easy time with that one.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happened. Connecticut kind of figured some things out this week, and they got a couple wins, like a couple tough wins to their name. We'll hear their name again here as we sort of go down the wrap up. They are so far out of it right now. I'm not going to say it's not impossible, but highly unlikely that they make a playoff run. They are right now the team that's going to ruin it for the other teams is sort of the game that they're playing. It should be noted that the Liberty, even with these losses, 17-8 still, and they're still sitting top 2 or 3 in the league, so they're sitting kind of just fine. We said last week, Stewie's, and they're no rush to get Stewie back, just to make sure she is fully healthy. As we've seen from a couple of these games, 82-92, 93-100, they're doing kind of okay without her for the most part. Need to clean up some stuff on the defensive end or score a couple more buckets on the offensive end. And I think they'll be okay. And now is a good time to get some of those role players going, especially with the star being out of the lineup. Washington this week. Washington, as we know, Sonia Citron's town. They go 1-2 on the week. They're still in a little bit of a funk. Like we talked about, those last 2 spots are going to be very highly contested throughout the season, especially this back half here. Washington lost this week. Phoenix Mercury 88-72 and Golden State 67-68. So a tough one there. They did end up beating the Sky, who are kind of back to their old ways. We had one good week of just ups and ups and ups, and now it's not so many ups anymore. It's a struggle out there to get a win in the Windy City, it feels like. Should be noted here, Washington, with this, they were sitting in the 7th spot last week when we last had our conversation. They ended up dropping all the way down to the 9th, basically swapping with the Valkyrie, who bump all the way up to the 7th spot. How do they do that? The Valks kind of turned the ship around this week. As we know, they lost Kayla Thornton, who was their leading scorer. I mean, it is true she was the best player on the team, at least from a points perspective, but they are such an evenly balanced team. They just had to reshuffle some things and brought in a couple new phases to help out. So this week, the Valks go 3-1 with a game later tonight against Vegas, but this week they beat Atlanta, the Dream, who are in that sort of that top tier, 77-75. Washington 68-67, which we talked about just a moment ago. Chicago 73-66, and then they did end up losing to Connecticut 64-95.
Yeah, Connecticut playing spoiler all week long.
They are. That's just kind of that's what you have to do now. I think there is some rumblings around that Connecticut is potentially going to get bought up by the Boston Celtics owner and get moved and relocated to Boston because.
Yeah, it's not been announced officially, but insider reporting has multiple sources saying that deal is all but confirmed.
Yeah, please help this team. However, like I said just a few minutes ago, big game tonight against the Aces. Aces are sitting at 14-14, sitting at 8th, basically on the bottom of bubble of that playoff run, and the Valks are 14-13. So whoever comes away with this win, get a little comfort space between you and that 8th spot.
Which is, absolutely important coming into this back half of the season here. I'm still pretty surprised that the Aces have still yet to kind of gain traction, although the climb up to 500 is still a big improvement for them.
Yeah, they've been kind of up and down. Like I said, their lineup does not look at all like how it's supposed to. They've been dealing with injuries pretty much all season long. If they can make the playoffs and healthy, I think they could be a force to be reckoned with. They are one of the few who have done it multiple times back to back. There is the issue there, though, of The Liberty and Lynx have shown that they are by far the best teams in the league. Perhaps Seattle, we know, can play spoiler, and Atlanta's nothing to sneeze at. We haven't talked about them a whole lot, but they are a very solid team as well. So sort of those top 4 teams you have to get past in order to get to the championship. And I don't know if Vegas has any of that firepower yet. Earlier this week, while we're still talking about Vegas did end up playing the Sparks. This game was significant because it was Cameron Brink's first game back. We talked a little bit about the Sparks last week. They have sort of a good thing going on right now, and they've really been on the up and up. This week they did go 1-1. They did lose the game against Vegas, 89-74. Brink did return. She did play not a whole lot, but kind of just to work her back in. The three-headed monster over there, Kelsey Plum, Hamby, and Rakia Jackson are all still very, very much huge part of what the team is doing and does. Even it's been the key to success, I would say, for the last couple of, at any point in time, any of those players have a 20-plus game to their name. Usually it's 2 or more, if not all 3, which is becoming a harder thing to stop, and they're sort of getting this ball rolling at the right time here. I think they have a good potential to make the playoffs. I don't know, like I said, like we talked about some weeks ago, I don't know who's going to be in that 7th and 8th spot, but I think they're going to be hard teams to come by, because those are the teams that are sort of going to be rolling by the end there, and they're going to be fighting for something for sure.
Yeah, it's a very muddy situation at the bottom of the standings there after it's like 14 wins for number 7 and number 8 there. And then
14 wins. Sparks have 11 right now to their name. Valkyrie have 14. They're the 8th spot. Washington has 13.
So it's, still anybody's spot to wrestle for that bottom half of the seating there.
Yeah. Like I said, it'll be a fun sort of tail end to watch. I think the top 4 spots are pretty much a lock. I would expect something has to go terribly wrong in the world for the Liberty, the Dream, and the Lynx not to be in there. In the Mercury, I would also say those teams are pretty much a lock. Everyone else is...
The Lynx are probably, pretty close to pulling away and clinching a spot here pretty soon. Liberty are now 6 games behind them with this little slide of theirs, but still very safely in second.
Yeah.
We know who's going to be in there for sure at the top half, and it'll be interesting to see. Like you said, I think, the Sparks have a lot of momentum building now. Connecticut is probably mathematically not gonna.
It would take a whole lot to get in there, though. Everyone would have to go on a losing streak, which is not entirely possible in the WNBA, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but I think they could be a team that's just spoiler all season long.
I think it's looking like those matchups are not going to be gimmies anymore if you see Connecticut on the schedule.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic. Any other WNBA news we need to talk about?
Nope. That is sort of the wrap up of the week. Of course, there's a lot more teams and games that are going on there. But these are the ones I think that everyone sort of has their eye on.